It's 3 o'clock.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. Tens of thousands of President Trump's supporters taking part in rallies in Washington today, demanding accountability and election integrity amid questions about the ballot count in numerous states. Trump's supporters turning out in force at several sites. People of all ages could be seen waving American flags and wearing patriotic attire as they defended the president's legal efforts against election fraud. FDA clearing the way for the largest mass vaccination campaign in history.
The country, suffering the grim effects of the coronavirus pandemic, gets a bit of hope for next year as the FDA gives emergency approval for the use of Pfizer-BioNTech's vaccine. President Trump's reaction:
"We have delivered a safe and effective vaccine in just 9 months. This is one of the greatest scientific accomplishments in history. It will save millions of lives and soon end the pandemic once and for all."
The initial 3 million doses are to go to healthcare workers and nursing home residents. Health officials don't expect enough doses to be ready for all the general public before the spring. Approval of a second vaccine developed by Moderna could come next week. Tim McGuire, Washington.
Numerous pedestrians injured when a car plowed into a group of protesters in New York yesterday. At least 6 people hospitalized. Also at townhall.com, consulting firm Mercer says large U.S. employers saw the smallest healthcare cost increase in more than 20 years.
The reason for the small increase? Patients stayed home and out of doctors' offices this year to avoid the global pandemic. That, according to Mercer, resulted in a nearly 2% cost hike for companies with 500 or more employees. Those employers were anticipating a 3.5% increase.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
All men and women created by you know the thing.
We know the thing, Joe. It's time for the Buff Show.
I'll bet you're as bright as you're good looking.
Right, Joe. A great lineup today on the Buff Show.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Corn Pop and everyone else is welcome to call into the show. 407-774-8255. 407-774-8255. Join the conversation.
I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts.
And here's your host, Matt Buff.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way.
Ho, ho, ho! Welcome to the Buff Show! Matt Buff, your host, and Brittany Walker, my co-host.
What's up, what's up?
Hashtag Blonde Patriot. What's going on?
Not much. Recovering from our celebratory festivities last night.
Yes, it seems like we were just hanging out with friends and family like just a few hours ago.
Basically. Matt and I were out last night. We had a few drinks, played some darts. Stayed out a little bit past our bedtime, so we're both recovering.
Yes, unfortunately, we didn't find any karaoke last night.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Matt wanted to do karaoke so bad. I was like, that's a terrible idea.
It was a bad idea.
But I really wanted to get it on video for you guys. So if we ever find karaoke, don't worry. I will get it on video so we can post it on Facebook for you.
Yes, indeed. We'll do that for sure because that would have been fun. At the time, it seemed like a really good idea. Yeah. Awesome to be with you guys. Check us out on www.thebuffshow.com, broadcasting on FM 94.9 FM, AM 950, The Answer Orlando. Check us out on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Parler, MeWe, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, just all over the place on thebuffshow.com. Right there on the homepage, you can go to all our social and streaming links, so it's awesome. And we got Pete on the bridge, the guy who does the awesome production work for us. Pete, good to see you out there. Merry Christmas.
Oh, nice to see you guys. I haven't been in the driver's seat for a while.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool to have you there. We know this is going to be a smooth run show, so that's good. No pressure there, Pete.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff to come up on the show, and we got some news on Herman Cain on Salem Now, where you can watch cool videos and stuff. We're going to get to that here in a second, too. We're talking about Eric Swalwell and the Honey Trap. That's her name, the Honey Trap. Christine Fang.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get into that, too. But I know there was a lot of people upset last night. We were celebrating because we have big news that we can't tell you.
Yeah, we can't tell you yet, but next week we have a huge announcement, so we're super excited about it.
Yeah, we'll be able to tell you next week because this is all getting finalized. It's a lot of moving parts to our news story, so it's very cool. We want to tell people right now, don't we?
Yeah, we do. But
I want to tell you so
keep
bad.
your lips sealed, Matt. Okay.
That's right. We can't do it. We can't do it, Captain.
Not
I can't do it. Hey, check us out on Facebook Live too. See people coming in there. Hello, everybody.
What's up, guys?
Facebook.com/The Buff Show Orlando. But what kind of put a damper in the mood last night was a little bit of news out of the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, it was at the time, before we found out more information later, it was very disheartening.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to tell people that we're here for you. We understand that there's good times and there's bad times. And just remember. All right? Keep smiling. You keep shining. You can count on the Buff Show. For sure.
Absolutely.
That's what this show's for. All right? In good times. Even in bad times. All right? Because that's what this show's for, people. All right? So stay with the Buff Show.
Now I know why you wanted to do karaoke last night.
Oh, yeah. Check it out. We got all kinds of great guests on the show for you today. Harry Martin, if he's not, under a Trump bus somewhere, come on, people. We got to rally, people. He's going to call in from D.C. We got Steve Hecht, a show contributor for Fox News and many other places. He's going to come on and sort this thing out toward the end of the show. And then, of course, we've got Karyn Turk, former Miss Florida, not Miss Seminole County, Miss Florida.
Kind of a big deal.
Mrs. Florida. I guess there's a difference between Miss and Mrs.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And Karyn Turk's going to be on. She's an actress, an activist, and political commentator who's recently launched a new online series called Behind the Headlines. And that's where we do on the show. We go behind the headlines because the headlines can be very misleading. I tell you what, I can't wait to get her take. So she'll be on soon. I don't know how we packed all this in 1 hour. It's like that movie Four Christmases, how they packed all that stuff in one day. We do the same thing on this show. We pack it all in 1 hour.
Every time. But we somehow make it work. So we're doing a good job so far.
People like us.
Oh, yeah.
They really do. I want to talk real quick about Herman Cain, what we got now on salemnow.com, which is an online video service that has a lot of news and information. They got a movie on there, a Herman Cain movie called Poor to CEO, now available. And I want you guys to check it out. And if you call the show, we have a way to let you watch it for free. Just tell us your Christmas wish. 407-774-8255. Herman Cain was one of my favorite candidates in 2020. And here's why. Check this out.
So for some, it's easy to see why polls show Herman Cain is the most likable of the GOP presidential candidates. A lot of it has to do with his sense of humor.
I'm ready for the gotcha questions. And when they ask me who's the president of you Becky, stand, I'm going to say, I don't know. Do you know? And then I'm going to say, how's that going to create one job?
I would bring a sense of humor to the White House because America is too uptight.
They are uptight. Boy, they're uptight more than ever. Mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately, Herman Cain died this year. They said it was from the COVID, but the jury's still out. His family's like, I'm not sure. But but he was a great guy, great sense of humor. My 999 plan. Check out my 999 plan. The tax plan for American workers.
He was a big fan of Trump.
He was a huge fan of Trump. And so you got to check that movie. Okay, so that movie code is for not just for preview only. So don't worry about calling in for that. We can't give it to you. Okay, well, my bad. We need to start putting disclaimers on emails. Don't share this. But that's okay. No big deal. Check it out. salemnow.com for that movie. So before we get into all the stuff with the Supreme Court, let's talk about Eric Swalwell.
Swalwell. It's a mouthful.
It is. What do you think about this guy? I mean, he is such a jerk, and he's on the Intelligence Committee, but he walks around like he's got a dunce cap on his head. Mm-hmm. And he's 40 years old, and he's part of a group of Bay Area Democrats targeted by the honey trap.
Yeah.
Christine Fang. She entered the U.S. as a college student in 2011. Spent the next 4 years wooing lawmakers to get close to sensitive government intelligence. This is according to a report in Axios. And Eric Swalwell was, at the same time this was happening, he was trying to impeach President Trump for doing what he was doing.
Yep.
But they didn't accuse Trump of the pillow talk like Swalwell had.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just him that's being sneaky. I mean, look at the governor of Georgia right now, Brian Kemp. I mean, I saw pictures of him on Facebook at the, the Houston Center for China, where he was, hanging out with the Chinese spies.
Yes.
Did you see that post?
I think I did. Yeah, make sure you share that on the Buff Show. We'll let everybody see that.
Yeah. But I mean, that just shows you, though, our government on both sides. We have the swamp runs deep. I mean, Trump's been telling us that forever, but it's on both sides, Democrats and Republicans both. He has no one on his side, right? I mean, the Republicans haven't fought for him. Obviously, the Democrats aren't, but literally the GOP has not stood behind Trump. It's literally Trump and the American people versus big tech, Hollywood, DC. I mean, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, they talk about foreign interference, and you and I were talking about an executive order the president put out last night about foreign interference. And I thought about that term foreign, because if it is a foreign object in your tire, right, it's still something that's here in America.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're talking about the interference that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, big tech, all those places, I mean, last week on the show, we read off about 35 fake news organizations. And what they do is they put out misinformation, and then they try to block people like us. Like right now, our live video is being shadow banned. A lot of people can't see it unless they do a manual search for it. I mean, they put the onus on us to try to change the way we think and talk. But then they spread all these fake things that are for Biden and Harris, and allow just whatever on the left says. Even if you're in Iran and you hate America, you're still free to say what you want. But if you're a conservative, it's a problem.
Yeah.
And like, we can't talk about the Swalwell story without getting some sort of notification. We can't talk about the election. And YouTube has blocked any and all information about election fraud.
That's right.
And these people just get away with this stuff time and time again. And a lot of people are feeling sad. Don't make me play the song again.
Well, did you know YouTube, I guess, blocked any videos that are about the election that do not claim Joe Biden as the winner?
Yeah. I mean, what kind of country is this that we're living in?
I know.
That is heavy election interference. And they accused Trump, Swalwell included, as one of the leaders in the intelligence community, of encouraging an investigation into Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. Where's Hunter? His first name is Where's now. Where's Hunter? But and yet they're all doing, while he's sleeping with a college student who, and then now she's back in China because she's got the goods. She's got everything she needs. It's just such hypocrisy, and what's going on is it's just phenomenal to sit here and watch.
Well, the Democratic Party is trying to sell our country to China, so it makes sense that they, sent spies over here. Now, did you see, I saw a story yesterday on Facebook that there's Chinese troops currently training in Canada right now. And I guess they had tried to come over to Canada, and Canada was going to allow them to train there, and then Trump immediately shut it down because he found out about it. So obviously something's going on here. You hear a lot of things, right, all over Facebook. You see a lot of things, but a lot of it does make sense if it does happen. The fact that they are training in Canada, why? Well, if apparently, from what I hear, and you guys, this is all just hearsay, but if we go to war against each other, right, if a civil war breaks out, they have been supposedly instructed to step in and side with the left and with Antifa and BLM, and so that's the theories that I see going around, and I think that would be, it would make sense, right?
Well, that way the left would have guns then.
Exactly.
If they didn't step in, they wouldn't have any.
No, they'd be fighting us with their kitchen spatula.
Now, we're not condoning this activity. Not yet.
No.
What we're talking about is these actors from China interfering heavily. And I did read the same thing about the Chinese troops in Canada, and it's a real thing. And not only that, but the way they set up businesses in America, the way the left helps them set up things here in America. I heard something about when they were talking about Christine Fang, they were talking about how many of people her age were coming from China and doing the college program. And it's like 20,000, 40,000 people you're talking about. So there's one spy. How many of those thousands and thousands of people were spies too?
Yep.
Coming in here on student visas.
That's just an easy way for them to get in the door.
Yes, it is. I tell you what, it's just an amazing thing. And it's not even hypocrisy. It's really just a flat-out attempt to change who we are as a country. I mean, they're all looking at this Georgia runoff, for example, where Perdue already won that election. He had a 4-point lead on election night. It was done, and then they found votes. They keep doing these things to change dramatically the country that we live in. And I know we crammed a lot in there, but if you think about it, it all works together. Big tech.
Oh, yeah.
The media, the colleges. We go back all the way when... How did we get into this mail ballot situation where Dr. Birx was in front of the podium talking about how we have to fake the COVID numbers to create a sense of what she called urgency to pay attention, but I called it the sense of fear, which led to the mass mail-in ballots, which we've been screaming about and the president's been screaming about for fraud, but the left never wanted to do anything about it. And sure enough, we have plenty of evidence, thousands and thousands signed affidavits. While that's happening, they're coddling with Chinese spies, and they're doing all these things to our country from within. It's something to keep an eye on, and you are in the right place to keep an eye on that. So stay with us through the break. Karyn Turk is coming up next on The Buff Show. Merry Christmas, everybody. Didn't mean to be such a downer enough. We'll be right back on The Buff Show, 407-774-8255. Stay with us.
A boring website can make your company look really bad. Poor rankings on Google, Yahoo, and Bing means your company does not exist to thousands of monthly searchers. I'm not even on the front page. Come out of hiding with JJC Marketing Solutions and get found to more and more new customers every day. At JJC Marketing Solutions, they offer state-of-the-art website creation, Google SEO, PPC campaigns, and social media marketing that makes your company stand out. No need to go with those national companies that only care about you on the first call. JJC Marketing is located right here in Sanford, and the goal is to help businesses like yours succeed. Get better results. Call 321-765-7710 or visit them at jjcmarketingsolutions.com.
I'm somebody now!
JJC Marketing Solutions.
In 1961, W. Cleon Skousen, former FBI agent and author of international bestseller The 5,000-Year Leap, released The Naked Communist, detailing the 45 specific goals necessary to undermine America and replace our Judeo-Christian heritage with godless Marxism. America in Peril, Buzzsaw Media's explosive documentary brings to light just how close we are to losing our great republic. See for yourself how far the left has gone to change our country, and not for the better. You must see America in Peril on YouTube today. Watch it and share it with every American patriot you know. America in Peril from Buzzsaw Media. Available on YouTube. Action Plus Pressure Cleaning is the official pressure washing company of The Buff Show. While Matt's doing the dirty work on the show, Action Plus Pressure Washing has been doing the dirty work for the last 15 years in Central Florida. They use a soft wash system to clean pool enclosures, driveways, pool decks, houses, and commercial property. They even clean large and small parking lots and buildings. Wow! Action Plus offers other services such as lawn maintenance, one-time service to weekly service, mowing, weeding, edging, and trimming, and hauling away debris. You can get more than one service, and they offer bundle pricing. Check out their weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly services for lawn maintenance and ask about their free standard 2-driveway with house wash services. Family owned and operated. Get your free estimate at actionpluspressurecleaning.com or call 386-506-1048. That's 386-506-1048. Action Plus Pressure Cleaning. They aim to please.
since 2012, Cellulartronics has been providing Central Florida with the best phone repair, electronics repair, and computer repair. They fix all electronics from iPhone, Samsung, Sony, and many more. They also do TV repair and fix your tablets. Right now, you can get a glass back cover for the iPhone 8 to an iPhone X for only $95. iPhone 11 and up back covers are only $120. They've got 2 locations to serve you, one in Sanford, the other in DeBerry. Visit Cellulartronics.com or call them at 386-516-6185. That's Cellulartronics.com or call them at 386-516-6185. Cellulartronics. Not afraid to say Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Buff Show. AM 950, FM 94.9. The Answer.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Mistletoe hung where you can see every couple tries to stop.
Welcome back to the Buff Show, where we are rocking around this little Christmas tree in the studio. It's awesome. 407-774-8255 is the number. Matt Buff and Brittany Walker here with you. Hashtag Blonde Patriot. If you want to find her on all the social media sites. You're on Parler now, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been on Parler for a while, since actually April of this year. So on Parler, I'm at Brittany Walker. But I'm not super active on there because I'm not totally in love with the platform. So are you catching a little bit of...
Yeah, a little bit of static. A little bit of Russian interference happening on our...
or China.
Yeah, thanks, China. What are you doing to us? Stay off our airwaves. Yeah, Parler's a good site, and TikTok's been good for us, too. I do, like, videos of standing in line at the gas station just to show people are standing in and on and between the 6-foot stickers now. People are starting to ignore the stickers on the floor.
Speaking of TikTok, do you know who the Hodge twins are?
Yeah, oh yeah, I love those guys.
So they were banned from TikTok.
Really?
2 days ago.
Oh, so it begins.
It begins, yeah. So because at first I thought TikTok was supposed to be a very open platform for, conservatives and liberals, and there wasn't, a lot of problems there, but they banned the Hodge twins, and I heard a couple others were banned too. So.
What was the reason for those guys? And by the way, if you don't know the Hodge twins, they are 2 black guys.
Mm-hmm. That would be a good person to get on our show.
Both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe interview them about TikTok. But yeah, anyways, so TikTok is on the same path as, Facebook and Twitter and the rest of them. So.
Well, that's too bad, because I've been having a lot of fun just taking random weird videos and posting them on there, and conservatives have been doing very well on TikTok. And now, is it because of the potential sale to the new company? Do we know? I'm
not sure. I don't even know why they were banned. I just know a few of my friends sent it to me because they were trying to go to their page to see any updates, and they were completely wiped off. Like their username was gone and everything. So.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, we'll have to look into that. We will send them a contact message, but. So that's just weird, because we've always considered TikTok one of the safe places on the show. I know that the Chinese were stealing our stuff, but if you want to steal my video of people in gas stations, you can have it. We don't put any sensitive information on our TikTok page.
Just mostly sarcastic political videos. So.
Yeah. And speaking of that, we did a video, like it was after midnight last night on our Facebook page. We just want you guys to know, if you see TikTok videos or Facebook videos after midnight, if you're not watching it live, it will be deleted shortly after.
So the funny thing is, I totally forgot that we did that last night, and then Matt comes in and he's like, remember the interview last night? It was so good. I was like, actually, I didn't remember until just now, so.
Well, we were sitting there was 2 women sitting there, and I went out to, have a little smoke break, and they were, I don't know how the conversation started on Trump, but I'm like, so, did you guys vote for Trump? It was a black woman and a white woman. And we both did, and we feel like our election was stolen. And I'm like, hold on, let me break out the camera, and we'll just go live.
So all I know is I'm standing in the bar, right, and there's like a window where you can see outside, and we all look over, and we see Matt, like, just on live with these 2 women, and I'm like, oh, no, I need to go out there. Something's going on. So
I'm like,
it was funny.
It's Brittany Walker, my co-host.
And then he pulls me in.
Here. and then this guy in this weird jacket. I thought he was a weatherman.
Oh yeah,
he was on some local news station.
Yeah,
was he? He wasn't very nice.
Oh no, he was.
No, he was. Yes, he was nice.
Yeah, no. At first, I think he was just seeing what was going on, and then once we figured out we were both on the radio, he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, are you Trump? Or are you not Trump?" We're like, "We're definitely Trump," and he's like, "Well, I am too." And then we became best friends. So
that's awesome. We were like, "Show us your papers," kind of people.
Yeah.
If you're for Trump, you can come in the video. And he was trying to do this. Oh, he gave me a hug and said, we should just all love and get along. And I was in so many choice words like, no, blank Joe Biden kind of stuff. And I was like, you don't steal my election from me here in Florida, getting all passionate about it. You don't do that to me and my friends here in Florida. A round of drinks for everybody, because we're not going to let this election be stolen, not from us. Oh, but yes, I'll give you a hug, man. It's cool.
Yeah, right?
We should have did
basically
karaoke
how it went
instead.
down. We should have. Next time we know where we're headed.
Yeah, so he was a great guy. I just don't know what station he was from, but everybody had the Buff Show pulled up on their phones, which was awesome. So if you're listening from last night, good to talk to you guys. Call in and let us know. We'll give you a free shirt from the Buff Show store.
Yeah.
Where you can get gear, if you look on Facebook, I'm wearing the Unmasked and Unafraid shirt today. So if you go to www.thebuffshowstore.com, you can check out the merchandise there, and it's all shipped before Christmas.
Woohoo.
How about
Fast
that?
shipping.
It is fast. Get your I Beat the Kung Flu, and it shows little guys fighting on the shirt. A lot of fun stuff on there.
Yeah, I mean, even more than just shirts, we have, mugs and baby gear. The baby gear is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
The baby onesies, yeah.
So when you have your next child, we can get that onesie for you.
Okay, not so fast. Not so fast, Matt.
We're good there. That's funny. But the baby stuff is cool, and the hats and the coffee mugs and all that stuff. So check that out. And I wasn't really just speaking to you. I was speaking to everybody. Whoever has that next baby. I just
Well, you were
happened to be
looking at me
you.
when you said that. I was like, Matt, stop pressuring me.
I'm not trying to pressure you to have a kid. You should have another kid, because I have 3 and my life is miserable. You should be like me.
That's exactly where you were headed.
I was talking to somebody yesterday who has 3 kids. I'm like, why the one more? Why? I mean, we were good with that even number.
With the 2?
Yeah. It's hard to find a 3-bedroom house.
Now you have a middle child, and the middle child always feels left out, so maybe you should just have one more.
Yes. And that kid's pretty cool, too. He plays baseball, and his name's Jacob. So
oh, yeah.
We talked a lot about him last
did.
night. Yeah, that was awesome. So we talked about Herman Cain already. Guys, go to salemnow.com and check that out. It's pretty cool. But, the presidential candidates in 2012, they were a lot of fun. They had a lot of good times. And now our election has been flipped upside down. I'm nostalgic about 2012 and 2008 and 2004 elections, because we didn't have these kind of issues with voter fraud. And do you think that we're going to get to a position here where we have to address the elephant in the room with voter ID? It's just got to be done. We can't let this continue to happen. That's why a lot of people are like, Georgia, I don't know, unless you don't fix it. But if you fix it, you got to acknowledge there's a problem. Mm-hmm. There's a huge problem here. We got to get to a point where we tighten this up. It's not election season. It's not election year. It's election day.
Yeah. Well, I think the huge issue I see is that if Biden truly does get sworn into office, I think it's going to be a struggle for Republicans to ever take, the White House ever again, because look at what they did in 2016. Ted Cruz did a Senate hearing where he interviewed a man who actually voted for Hillary Clinton, but he exposed that over 3 million votes were given to Hillary Clinton through Facebook and Google interference. And Ted Cruz warned and said, in 2020, we're going to have a much worse issue. It's going to be much more than 3 million votes that are stolen if we don't get a handle on it. And then you look at and see what's happening, right now and what has happened in the 2020 election. So if Trump and, the GOP, if we don't pull something off, here, I think that the future elections, first of all, the turnout is going to be nothing, because nobody's going to trust the election process, and I don't think the Republicans will get office again. And so that's scary.
Well, what is happening today in Wisconsin? Today, it's really the first hearing about the election fraud in Wisconsin. The Trump lawyers actually get to present the evidence in Wisconsin today. And if we go through the list, now let's talk, I know we're going to talk about this later with our special guest, if he calls in. We're over 2 so far. The one day where we didn't get much sleep, nobody calls into the show.
Hey, we got to be able to wing it,
But let's go down the list. Wisconsin, about 120,000 questionable ballots, right? And Trump lost by what, 20?
Yep.
Lost. We say that facetiously because we don't believe he lost. We go to Michigan. Now we do have our day of court today in Wisconsin. It's going to be very interesting to see what that happens, because if we win that case, that can create precedent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the law in this country is all about, appeals and precedent.
So what happens if we do, if we win in Wisconsin? I mean, what would happen?
That means there's a couple of options there where the state legislator can certify the election, and we'd have a good chance of dismissing fraudulent ballots and taking Wisconsin. That's one. After the break, it's a hard break. That means the news is coming up, so stay with us on the Buff Show. We'll go down the list on some of the other states and what can be done there. A lot of exciting stuff, and we might play you that song again. Stay with us on the Buff Show.
SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. Nation's capital today is scene of a massive show of support for President Trump. Tens of thousands of supporters turning out for the March for Trump Day to call for election integrity and transparency amid questions over the way ballots have been counted. Trump supporters could be seen waving American flags at numerous sites around Washington, including the U.S. Supreme Court. It is Army-Navy Day as the two academies now battling out on the gridiron. President Trump is on hand for the coin toss. And a Russian nuclear submarine has successfully test-fired 4 ICBMs in a demonstration of the readiness. The Defense Ministry says the submarine of the Pacific Fleet launched the missiles in an early salvo. The launch comes 2 months before the latest START talks. This is SRN News.
In 1961, W. Cleon Skousen, former FBI agent and author of international bestseller The 5,000-Year Leap, released The Naked Communist, detailing the 45 specific goals necessary to undermine America and replace our Judeo-Christian heritage with godless Marxism. America in Peril, Buzzsaw Media's explosive documentary brings to light just how close we are to losing our great republic. See for yourself how far the left has gone to change our country, and not for the better. You must see America in Peril on YouTube today. Watch it and share it with every American patriot you know. America in Peril from Buzzsaw Media. Available on YouTube.
A boring website can make your company look really bad. Poor rankings on Google, Yahoo, and Bing means your company does not exist to thousands of monthly searchers. I'm not even on the front page. Come out of hiding with JJC Marketing Solutions and get found to more and more new customers every day. At JJC Marketing Solutions, they offer state-of-the-art website creation, Google SEO, PPC campaigns, and social media marketing that makes your company stand out. No need to go with those national companies that only care about you on the first call. JJC Marketing is located right here in Sanford, and the goal is to help businesses like yours succeed. Get better results. Call 321-765-7710 or visit them at jjcmarketingsolutions.com.
I'm somebody now!
JJC Marketing Solutions. Since 2012, Cellulartronics has been providing Central Florida with the best phone repair, electronics repair, and computer repair. They fix all electronics from iPhone, Samsung, Sony, and many more. They also do TV repair and fix your tablets. Right now, you can get a glass back cover for the iPhone 8 to an iPhone X for only $95. iPhone 11 and up back covers are only $120. They've got 2 locations to serve you, one in Sanford, the other in DeBerry. Visit Cellulartronics.com or call them at 386-516-6185. That's Cellulartronics.com or call them at 386-516-6185. Cellulartronics.
Action Plus Pressure Cleaning is the official pressure washing company of The Buff Show. While Matt's doing the dirty work on the show, Action Plus Pressure Washing has been doing the dirty work for the last 15 years in Central Florida. They use a soft wash system to clean pool enclosures, driveways, pool decks, houses, and commercial property. They even clean large and small parking lots and buildings. Wow! Action Plus offers other services such as lawn maintenance, one-time service to weekly service, mowing, weeding, edging, and trimming, and hauling away debris. You can get more than one service, and they offer bundle pricing. Check out their weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly services for lawn maintenance and ask about their free standard 2 driveway with house wash services. Family owned and operated. Get your free estimate at actionpluspressurecleaning.com or call 386-506-1048. That's 386-506-1048. Action Plus Pressure Cleaning. They aim to please.
Let's unwrap more of The Buff Show, where conservative warriors come for the truth on AM 950, FM 94.9. The Answer.
I'm
Go ahead, keep singing.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites, but I like the George Michael version. I love that version, but any version of that song is pretty good because the meaning of the song is awesome. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
And the very next.
But the next day, you threw it away.
Yeah.
And this year, I'm just going to give it to someone special. All right? That's Matt Buff and Brittany Walker on the Buff Show with you.
He's really in a karaoke mood, you guys. Okay, it's been ever since last night. He's just been on this karaoke streak.
But that's what friends are for, and that's what we do. We make you laugh, smile, and cry on the Buff Show. All right, let's go to. Hold on one second. Let's get it here. Our Buff Show hotline. Special guest on the show for the first time. Former Mrs. Florida, actress, activist, and political commentator, and she's launched a new online series called Behind the Headlines. Karyn Turk joins the show. Karyn, good to talk to you.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. And I want everybody to know she's not like a Karen, like the people on...
No, she spells it differently.
Because she spells it differently. Karyn. So she's a real Karen. So thank
she's
you.
Safe.
Yes, she's a good one.
Yeah, I'm the conservative Karen.
The conservative Karen. So good to have you on the show. A lot of stuff going on. And I want you to know I watched that movie you had on Amazon where you were playing the Trump supporter, the Trump card. No, it was not. It was the fake news, a fake news story, right?
Yep. It was actually, I mean, it was, we all got to laugh a little bit. So it's a very satirical movie, and it was fun to be a part of. I mean, they did, make fun of the president a little bit, but if we can't laugh at ourselves, we're going to lose our sense of humor. So sometimes you got to laugh at yourself a little bit.
Well, I was a little surprised I found that was on Amazon when I was checking out your bio because Amazon, they do have some pretty decent Trump movies on there.
They do.
And they kind of, you got to search for them.
Yeah. And I actually, that movie was a big surprise. I didn't know exactly what it was going to turn into. Sometimes when you're cast in different things, they don't give you all the details. And this was a surprise when it came out, just what the movie was. So it was a lot of fun, though. I had a really good time with it.
Well, that's awesome. So I encourage everybody to go check that out. It was funny. And sometimes you're like, really, Trump? Would he really do that? But I'll just leave it for people to decide. Let's say he was pretty egomaniac in that movie. That actor actually did a pretty good job.
And I don't know if I would have done it if they would have told me what it was going to be. But sometimes again, you're cast something and they don't give you all the details. And I was happy to go out there and be myself and support the president. And if it ended up being a satirical comedy, I can laugh at myself a little bit. I don't take myself too seriously.
Now, your scene was filmed on a beach. Which beach was that?
That was actually down in Miami, and I just got back. I was actually down in Miami with Roger Stone for a Stop the Steal rally, which took place at noon. So we just wrapped that up. I actually emceed the event down there, and it was amazing. We had 1,000 patriots out in front of the Freedom Tower in Miami talking about, the stolen election.
Yeah, let's talk about that because Texas last night, and Roger Stone, I knew he was doing that rally. Did he speak there?
He did. He was there. He gave a great speech. The crowd went wild, and we had about a dozen other patriots that got up. We actually spoke on the top of a ladder, so it was sort of a pop-up rally, and it was a lot of fun, and I was honored to be able to MC it and, speak to all of these amazing people that came out, and we were all there unified for one reason, because we want our voices to be heard, and the American people are being silenced, and we have to put an end to that.
We absolutely do. And what I like to see is these rallies popping up, that huge event in D.C. where I think the president's going to be speaking there tonight. You saw something about that, Brittany.
He just posted a couple hours ago that he's going to be making a drive-by through the rally today.
That's great. And Karyn, the Trump bumper stickers, the yard signs, the flags, none of that's coming down with Trump supporters. None of that stuff.
No, we won't be silenced. And that's exactly what the left wants. And that's what this, I won't even call it the Democrat agenda. It's a globalist agenda that has stolen, the Democrat Party and has turned it into an evil empire that is basically a force for socialism. And, if you follow history, anytime a country turns into a socialistic country, communism creeps in eventually. My parents were refugees from Austria, and, they escaped the Nazis as Jewish Americans and came here as refugees. And the reason that the Nazis were able to invade Austria is because socialism came in 1928, destroyed the economy, just like they're trying to destroy the economy now with COVID.
Yeah, they are. And another really scary thing that happened this week is the Pope Francis out of the Vatican just joined a global alliance with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, MasterCard, and Bank of America. So now we have someone of power, you know, in the religious world, like the Pope Francis, who's endorsing the globalist movement, and that's really scary.
That's horribly scary. And, you know, you can look at the World Economic Forum and what's gone on there for years, and, you know, it's a pretty logical pattern if you actually apply some critical thinking and you see what their agenda is all along. And they created this COVID scam, you know, to create mail-in ballots to steal the election. And when that wasn't enough, then they went ahead and used the servers and tampered with electronic voting. So, you know, the fraud is rampant despite the mainstream media's narrative that no fraud has been perpetuated.
Well, they perpetuated a Russian hoax for 3 years with no evidence, and now we got video evidence. It's like this warehouse grainy surveillance footage of people bringing in tables and pulling out ballots. We've got testimony, day-long testimony if you watch Newsmax and stuff like that. I mean, it's just amazing the amount of evidence that we have for this, and Trump still almost pulled it off of overcoming the fraud. But you can't steal an election. This is not Venezuela. And before you respond to that, Karyn, we're obligated to play one clip on every single show on how this all started, and it came from the mouth of Joe Biden. Let's check this out.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
No truer words have been stated, Karyn.
No, very true. And, you know, he's just a puppet. I mean, this man is a puppet, and not a very good one. You know, and you can look at de Blasio's daughter. I don't know if you've seen that video, but you should play that clip as well for your audience. De Blasio's daughter basically says when Biden stole the election on camera and then tries to retract it.
What?
You know, even the left knows what they did. Oh, yeah. No, the video's out there. You should Google it. It's amazing.
We'll have to check that out. Did you write that down?
Yeah, I did.
We'll share that to the Facebook page because that's a good. I did not know that. De Blasio's daughter. I'm sure she's a looker. That one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she's a looker. There's some very controversial photos of her on a subway that I would recommend you don't look at because it will burn your eyeball.
No thanks. I'll pass.
Well, now I have to go look.
Yeah. But I mean, just maybe have
don't
a drink
put in a credit
before
card.
You look. You know, just got, you know, be prepared. Be prepared.
Oh, I hope she's not on Pornhub. They get, with the credit card situation. On
no, but Hunter Biden is.
He's on
Hunter
Pornhub?
Yeah, he is. He is.
Oh, my goodness. That's the first son, right? According to the left, he's going to be in the classy Biden family.
Oh, Lord.
You know what? I'll give you both. Like I drop these things called truth bombs, and one of my truth bombs is Hunter Biden is a crackhead. And
he is.
It's completely true.
If you look at the timeline of Hunter Biden, this has been going on for years. When you talk about the drug problems and the situation with the woman in Arkansas and where the baby came from, because Joe Biden said he had 8 grandchildren, and somebody from Fox News yelled, "I think you have 9." He doesn't count the Arkansas baby.
He doesn't know.
Oh my goodness.
He doesn't know.
But you're right. This timeline with Hunter Biden, they talk about the tax stuff and they talk about the Russia money, but the videos and the drug use and the stuff that he put out there on video is just horrific.
It's horrific, and none of the media is reporting it. You know, the best article that I read about this was, of all things, in the Daily Mail. So now the Daily Mail has become a very credible news organization for when you want unbiased, you know, news that's, you know, not slanted. Here, this tabloid paper actually had really what I think was the best evidence to support the, you know, the laptop controversy and everything else. And, you know, that article to me was just really telling of everything that went on. And I said to myself, wow, they're reporting this in a UK paper, you know, which is a tabloid paper, but, you know, there was truth and evidence again and again and again to support the fact that, you know, he was doing things, you know, on his father's coattails and using his father's name for leverage and doing everything that shouldn't have been done. And, you know, our mainstream media just wants to cover that all up.
I wonder if Hunter ever met Christine Fang. Fang, the honey trap.
You mean bang, 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 bang?
Yeah.
Bang, 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 bang?
Yes. We're saying that. We did a parody video. Well, I guess I did.
Yeah, Matt
I wasn't even drinking when I did it, but I remade the Bang 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 song into Christine Fang 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 with poor Eric Swalwell doing pillow talk, and he got caught. But I wonder if Hunter ever knew Christine Fang. That would be a good one.
That would be a good one, and I wouldn't be surprised. You know, it's a very small little incestuous pool in those circles.
Yeah, it is.
And she was wooing them all. That's a great word we don't use anymore, wooing. She was wooing all of them. And then she took it all back to China.
Yep.
That's very appropriate, wooing. I like it. I like it. And, you know, look at what they did to, you know, Cindy Yang. I had worked as a spokesperson. I don't know if you guys remember the Cindy Yang story, but Cindy Yang was the woman who they accused of being the spa owner, you know, in the Robert Kraft scandal. And they said everything from, you know, she was being investigated by the FBI to, you know, that there was going to be this big explosion with all this evidence. And this poor woman was guilty of one thing. She was guilty of being a Trump supporter. She hadn't owned the spas in 7 years. That's how off the articles were. So,
that's
you know, this
terrible.
Is a big part of, yeah, it's unbelievable. And a big part of the reason why I decided to start my YouTube channel, Behind the Headlines TV, is because, you know, we're all searching for the truth behind the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, you know, the headlines that are out there are simply clickbait news, and they're created by a left-sided media in order to generate eyeballs and looks. And, you know, a lot of times the headlines just don't substantiate, you know, the real story. So I want to go behind the headlines and give my viewers, you know, the real truth.
Well, where can the viewers find all your information? Just give it all out there.
I'm all over social media. I'm pretty easy to find. It's Karyn Turk. I'm the former Mrs. Florida 2016. I'm on Instagram at Mrs. Florida 2016. I'm everywhere else as Karyn, Karyn, Turk, Turk. And you can find my YouTube channel at Behind the Headlines TV on YouTube. And, you know, just breaking it all down, going behind the headlines.
Now, Karyn, we're going to put a page for you on our website and put all that stuff and those links on there. So we appreciate coming on. Now, when you say it's Mrs. Florida, not Miss Florida, there's a difference, right?
There is. I'm the older married version, and I actually am a, you know, Jewish girl from New Jersey. So, you know, it was not, being in a pageant was never, you know, really on my radar screen. And I actually was 3 glasses of wine in at a charity event, and I met a really wonderful woman who had been a former Mrs. Florida. And in that moment, I decided it would be a great idea to tell everybody at the table that I was going to run for Mrs. Florida and win, because I'm really passionate about certain causes, and this in particular was advocating for adopted and foster care children, and I'm adopted myself. And I got caught up in the moment, and she said, you know, wouldn't it be amazing? You'll have this huge platform to go out and advocate. So I told everybody up at the table, and the next morning I woke up and my husband said, you're really going to do it? And I said, well, I got to do it now. I told everybody I'm doing it. I got to follow through. And, you know, thankfully the judges really, you know, took me for who I was, and they didn't judge me for being a conservative. And I was actually really surprised that I won. And I won just as Donald Trump had announced that he was running for president.
Aww.
And, you know, I dedicated my year not only to supporting charitable causes, but also to, you know, campaigning with the president and, you know, spending time in D.C. and, you know, doing what I felt was right for freedom and for our country, because, you know, that I think is ultimately one of the most important things to me and my family is ensuring that we, you know, have American freedom on the go forward. And we're at a scary time where that could be lost in just a few seconds.
Absolutely.
Well, that is fantastic. Great story. We got to get you back on. How's that sound, Karyn?
Or come to Orlando. Spend the day with us.
Yeah,
I love Orlando. Yeah. I lived in Claremont. I went to college at Florida Southern, and I lived in Winter Garden in Claremont in my 20s, and I worked at Hooters on Kirkman Road.
Oh, so you weren't far then. Yep, you'll have to come and say hi in studio.
Yeah, we'd definitely love to have you.
I would love to.
And you can bring that crazy character Roger Stone with you if you want.
And we'll drink wine
Road
after.
Trip with Roger.
Oh yeah,
Road trip with Roger.
After show drinks for sure. That'll be fun.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you, Karyn, so much for coming on the show. Karyn Turk. That's Karyn Turk. Look her up, and we'll put her on the Buff Show too, and we'll talk to you soon. Let's go next to our contributor that we have on the show with us. We're just gonna go ahead and right to him. This is awesome because we got to see what happened in Texas.
Yes.
In the Supreme Court. Steve Hecht is on the line, show contributor, and also on Fox News and many other stations. Thanks, Steve, for the short notice. I think we got this all together about 10:30 p.m. last night, so thanks for joining us on the show.
It's my pleasure, Matt. Great to be with you.
Yes, indeed. So where are you calling from today?
Guatemala.
Oh, very cool. And, I want to give a little background on Steve. He's a businessman, writer, film producer, born and raised in New York. That's why he's got the cool accent. Come on, people. We got to win this election. And you lived and worked in Guatemala since 1972. And you do a whole bunch of different contributions for shows and everything. So I appreciate you taking the time. But what the heck happened in the Supreme Court last night, Steve?
No courage, no wisdom. We live in the age of specialization, and people are very good at what they do and don't seem to have much understanding of anything else. Now, Supreme Court justice has to understand that they're the last line of defense of liberty. They have the last word. And to take something like this and reject it without looking at the merits, I mean, that's, I think, irresponsible. They just refuse to meet their obligations. I mean, how they vote is an entirely separate thing. But you've got to realize that you've got the president, you've got 17, 18 states on one side and 22 or 3 states and territories on the other side. And you've got to air this thing out and convince people of whatever your reasoning is. Whatever your decision is, you have to reason that decision. Because right now, you have a large chunk of the population that's absolutely convinced that there's fraud. The other chunk of the population thinks that there's no fraud because it's being hidden from them by the legacy media and the big tech companies.
Yeah, and I also saw, though, some people are saying that the Supreme Court threw it out because there was basically no harm done to Texas specifically, so Texas had no merit to file the lawsuit. But I've heard from a lot of people that they have the opportunity to refile in a different way to try to get in front of Supreme Court. Have you heard anything like that?
Well, I've read some of that. I mean, what they're going to have to file in individual states, I suppose, and in any individual state, they'll turn it down by just simply saying, well, even if we overturn the votes in that state, it won't affect the election. And so the suit that they just turned down would have affected the outcome of the election because it covered 4 states. And you flip those 4 states, and that changes the outcome. So I think that after trying to avoid their responsibility, I have no faith that the Supreme Court is going to meet the challenge and look at the merits in whatever case happens to get to them.
Well, let's talk about that real quick for a second, and I'm with you on that because we talked about how Wisconsin's having a hearing today. It's actually the first time we get to present evidence, which is awesome, and I think that can present some standing. And people look at this case about merits versus standing, and standing has the 3 elements. Plaintiff has to suffer a concrete injury. The injury is fairly traceable to actions of the defendant, and it must be not merely just speculative, but it has to be redressed by a favorable decision. There has to be a remedy. And we had that situation. I felt like even though the Texas lawsuit was quickly put together, many states jumped on board with it, and I thought it had the standing to at least gather a hearing because it definitely qualifies for the merits-based argument.
Well, of course, and that's the problem. And if they take that case, then they have to rule. They're going to have to say something, and they want to avoid that. And usually the Supreme Court doesn't like to get involved in anything unless they have to get involved, and they want to leave politics to politicians and the people. But that's a tremendous mistake in this case because the evidence of fraud is so massive, and I don't see how they could say. I mean, Texas was alleging that that the 4 states violated the U.S. Constitution. It's not how the state conducts its election. Texas isn't trying to tell these people how to conduct the election. Texas is saying, hey, we have to comply with the Constitution. Why don't they have to comply with the Constitution? They don't comply? That affects us. And it's true. So all the voters across the country who voted for Trump, states who voted for Trump, they are disenfranchised simply because these 4 states decided to fix their election, and they violated their own rules, and by doing so, they violated the Constitution. Now, I'm not a lawyer, That's how I understand it. That's common sense. And if that's wrong, and if all of us who aren't lawyers don't understand, then they have to explain it to us. Because there are millions and millions of people who feel disenfranchised. And, hey, by the way, the Biden administration is coming for our freedom of speech, our freedom of religion, and our freedom to keep and bear arms. And they are not going to deprive Americans of those freedoms without some type of pushback. Americans will not meekly surrender their freedoms to these totalitarians.
Well, that's why we got to fight, but that was why we did fight and win the election. I mean, Trump got 10 million more votes than he did in 2016. All kinds of records were set here. I find it interesting. I want to dive deeper into that just a little bit more because Pennsylvania Attorney General actually joined the lawsuit against Pennsylvania. I mean, that was fantastic. But when you're talking about this, the Democrats got wiped out all over the country. You're narrowing it down to 5, 6, 7 cities within states. Trump did very well in Pennsylvania, did very well in Michigan, did very well in Arizona, Nevada. He did very well in Wisconsin. On election night at 3 a.m., we had this election wrapped up and done. So we're talking about cities controlling the way the ballots came in, and we saw pristine ballots. I have watched so much testimony on pristine ballots that should have been folded that were just brand new looking, and they were Biden only. We narrowed this down by the evidence. How come they can't see it? And the local legislators should be the ones giving us our day in court with the local Supreme Courts.
Well, they should. But look, we Americans are not prepared for what they're hitting us with. This is a classic Marxist takedown strategy. It's classic information warfare. And what you have is a group of crony capitalists, the largest companies in the country. They're making excess profits in China. And Trump has upset that. In other words, the globalist policy of Clinton, Bush, and Obama. Now Trump comes, and he doesn't want the money from these companies to help China. Trump is trying to help Americans. So what you have here is a clash of systems. You got the globalist system, which exports our jobs, versus a nationalist system, which is, by the way, not white supremacy or any other kind of outrageous thing. It means America first, and it means you make incentives to bring jobs to America, which is what Trump did. So now that upsets the crony capitalists, and it upsets the socialists, because socialists want the government to be who takes care of workers. Trump wants workers to take care of themselves, and he wants to create the conditions. That's traditional American individualism versus socialist collectivism. And the mercantilists, the crony capitalists, are also collectivists. And then you add into that the federal bureaucrats. Federal bureaucrats love to have their power increased. They don't want any problems, more power, more money, and they don't like Trump. They don't like Republicans in general, but they especially don't like Trump. And look at the FBI and the Justice Department. What are they doing?
Yeah.
Are they investigating the electoral fraud? They should have been on it right from the beginning. They should have been investigating all. You can't have the same exact thing happen in so many different states. And the statistical anomalies are overwhelming. You have maybe 10, 12 different, many different statistical analysis that all come to the same conclusion. This could not have happened without fraud. And so it's just overwhelming. All the particular evidence, all the statistical evidence. Well, what happened was, very simply, that this group, this unholy alliance of crony capitalists, socialists, and deep staters, decided that they couldn't win the election without fixing it. And so they did, and they could, and COVID-19 gave them the excuse to fix the election. So they knew that they were going to get discovered. Well, they have an information warfare to hide the truth and bully everybody. And, of course, their riots play into that. You know, from the end of May up until the end of August, when when polls showed that the riots were hurting Biden, all of a sudden they miraculously stopped. Coincidence? No. So you got people now talking about, oh, what happens if the Supreme Court overturns this? Well, if they're worried about violence, they shouldn't, because those groups don't have any power. The only reason we had violence was that the Democrat mayors and governors of those states wanted it to happen.
Steve,
we're going to they shirked their responsibility.
Steve, we're going to have to leave it there. I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you, Steve Hecht, Karyn Turk. We'll see you next time on The Buff Show. Big news coming this week. Stay tuned.
News, opinion, passion. AM 950 and FM 94.9. The Answer. WORL. Orlando. It's 4 o'clock.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. Nation's capital today, the scene of a massive show of support for President Trump. Tens of thousands of supporters turning out for the March for Trump to call for election integrity amid questions over the way ballots have been